May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be ever acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. A group of American businessmen went on a safari in Africa. Their guide provided them with a team of Africans who carried all their supplies from camp to camp. From the very first night, the Americans complained that the Africans worked too slowly and made it difficult to keep up the pace of moving from one hunting location to the next. One day, after pressing hard to reach that night's camp, the Americans found all of their carriers sitting in a circle, not moving. When the Americans demanded to know why the men had stopped and were doing nothing, the reply was, "We stopped to let our souls catch up with us." We live and work and play in a fast-paced world, a world in which there is little time to do anything leisurely or casually. The demands on our time and on our presence are constant and unrelenting. Thus, Lent seems like the perfect time to slow down a bit. Stop some of the things that we are doing, get some rest, and let our souls catch up with us. Or perhaps more properly, we catch up with our souls. The idea of refusing to be carried along in the rapid current of daily life, or to take a step back from the bad things that people are doing all around us, is an ancient practice, far predating Christianity. However, we have countless examples of Christians who did just that. They withdrew, as Jesus did, to a desert or a wilderness. They took time off to pray and to just be with God. And some of them made it permanent. They became hermits who lived alone or in loosely connected communities. Others went even further. They went apart and didn't just live alone. They prayed night and day for forgiveness for their sins and for the sins of the world. We call them ascetics. One such ascetic hermit lived near Aleppo in Syria. In the year 403, Simeon, the son of a Christian shepherd, left his home and his family, and he entered a monastery. His extreme interpretation of the Beatitudes led him to forms of self-deprivation and penance that the other monks asked him to live away from them in a tiny hut. Once there, he decided to spend the entire season of Lent without eating or drinking anything. The other monks thought that his survival was a miracle, so they allowed him to leave. He found a small cave and took up residence there, but his story spread far and wide, and many people came to see him and to ask him to pray for them. Simeon was so bothered by all the attention that he left the cave. Looking for another home, he found a Roman ruin, and in it he spied a 9-foot-tall pillar with a little platform on the top of it. He climbed up and sat there, and he stayed. He lived there on bread and goat's milk that boys would bring and climb up the pole to give to him. Now, Simeon's action gave rise to a technical name for a monk who lives on top of a pillar, believe it or not, a stylite, from the Greek word stylos, meaning pillar. Thus he became Simon the Stylite. But even then, being only 9 feet above the ground, he was constantly surrounded and bothered by people. So he moved on. He tried other pillars. Finally ended up on one that was 50 feet high, with a 1 square meter platform at the top. And he lived there for the next 33 years until he died. Now, all of that happened in the 400s. A long time ago. But in 1993, something similar took place. In the country of Georgia, south of Russia, a man named Maxim Kavaradze decided that his life of sin, of drunkenness and drugs was taking him in the wrong direction. He quit his job and he took up residence at the top of a 131-foot pillar of stone in the Georgian mountains. And I have given you some pictures of his home and his life there. The top can only be reached by climbing an iron ladder, obviously 131-foot iron ladder. And up there, he had a lot more than 1 square meter. As you can see from the picture, he has a tiny one-room cottage. He has a chapel. Food, water, and mail are sent up to him using a crane and a bucket and a long rope. And there, Maxime prays for his sins and the sins of the world. Word spread of this strange man at the end of the 20th century, living like an ascetic hermit from 1600 years earlier. But then something very, very interesting happened. Other young men began to gather at the foot of his pillar. They provided him with food and supplies, but they sent up to him letters in which they confessed their own sinful lives and their desire to be forgiven and set on the right path. And so Maxime climbs down the ladder twice a week to celebrate Mass in the chapel that was built at the base of his pillar, and to meet with young men in trouble and grant them absolution, and also to counsel them on how to amend their lives. It's at times like this that I wish we had one of those slide projectors here in the church so that I could go over all of these pictures with you. But take them home and look at them. And if you want to find more about him, look him up on Wikipedia or someplace like that. I did prepare these for you. Well, I don't think you or I are going to undertake a Lenten discipline that is so demanding and dangerous. I'm actually very uncomfortable with heights, so for me to sit at the top of a pillar is pretty much not going to happen. But you know, there's no reason why we can't carve out some time each day to really be alone with God, to let our souls catch up with us if they need to climb an imaginary pillar, or to go back into an imaginary cave, or live in an imaginary solitary hut in our hearts and minds. And there, to be in communion with God as Jesus did for 40 days and 40 nights. And who knows? God may touch our hearts and lives and speak deep within us the words we long to hear, that we need to hear. May this Lent be a blessed time for each and every one of us, and may God bless us and all that we do for others. Amen.